Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Michelle Campbell with Graduate Communications and Intercultural Programs. And in this video module, I'm going to show you some techniques for paraphrasing. And you'll see that I have two windows open right now. The first window is my browser. I've brought up an article from the Pratt School of Engineering news page, and this particular article is a recent article about a day of STEM for girls for the Duke FEMS capstone event that happened in late February 2020. And over on the other side, I have a Microsoft Word document open with some information that we would like for you to know to help you with paraphrasing. So let's look at the Microsoft Word document for a moment, and you'll see that we have some tips for how to paraphrase. You can see that there's 8 different things that you can do to paraphrase. So the idea of paraphrasing is that you want to capture the original meaning without changing it. And you want to have about the same level of detail as in the original. Now, summarizing is more about bigger ideas. Paraphrasing is like a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 ratio of level of detail, whereas summarizing might be a 1-to-5, 1-to-10, 1-to-100, 1-to-500, depends on how big the original document is and how little the paraphrase is that you're doing. So when you're paraphrasing, again, you want to keep the same level of detail. So here are some ways that you can do that, because again, the idea is we want to put it in our own words. So one of the things we can do is find synonyms for some of the words. So find a word that means something similar. We could change the verb to negative. We could change the voice. If it's active, change it to passive. If it's passive, perhaps change it to active. We could change parts of speech. So for example, make a noun into the adjective form. Make a verb into the noun form. We can combine sentences. We can move phrases. We can change the word order, and we can also change the sentence structure. So I'm going to give you a real-time example of what this looks like, and I will just let you know that I did not prepare any of this before I started recording this video, because I want you to see that even I sometimes struggle with paraphrasing. Now, the most important thing that you need to do when you're paraphrasing is write multiple drafts. So I'm going to show you and talk you through what I would do if I was paraphrasing. So we have this article here, A Day of STEM for Girls. And the first thing that I want to do, I will tell you, I read this article briefly just to make sure it was suitable for this video. The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I write down my source information, because even when I'm paraphrasing, I still need to cite my source. I'm going to use a citation style where in the text, I'm just going to put the information for the source. So when you cite a source, you should follow whatever style guide that you're using. And if you're not sure what style guide means, definitely look that up. In this style that I'm using, I'm just going to cite the author, the title of the article, and the source in the sentence, in the very first sentence of my paraphrase. So I'm just going to type in my Word document to get myself started. The title of the article is A Day of STEM for Girls. And notice that I put that title in quotation marks. So titles of articles are in quotation marks. Source information would be in italics. So source, where does this come from? This comes from technically the Duke Research blog, but I'm looking at it on the Pratt School of Engineering news website. So I'm going to cite this as, Pratt, and I'm going to put this in italics, Pratt School of Engineering News, and I'm going to put this as Duke, make sure that's in italics, Duke Pratt School of Engineering News. That's the website that I'm getting it from. And then for the author, I can see the author is right here. The author is Megna Dada. Okay. So before I even start paraphrasing part of this, I'm going to just make sure that I include my source information within my first sentence. So I can do that with a very easy sentence frame. In the article, A Day of STEM for Girls, published in Duke Pratt School of Engineering News by Meghna Datta. And I might include the date, for example, on March 10th, 2020. And then whatever comes after this, I'm going to just put here as a reminder, I need a reporting verb. So a reporting verb is a special class of verb that gives us information about who said what. So a reporting verb, for example, might be said, wrote, reported, explained, something like that. So I need to choose a reporting verb when I begin writing. So let's go ahead and take a look at, I've already picked out a paragraph that I'd like for us to paraphrase. And it's this paragraph right here. And I'm just going to read it to you because we need to read it and understand it. And then I'm going to take some notes on it and then I'll work on paraphrasing. So just to give you some background, since I've skimmed this article and you haven't, this is about an event on Duke's campus hosted by a group called FEMS, which encourages female participation in STEM disciplines. So the event was for young girls and female identifying young people to help get them interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And lots of Duke professors were there to help out and get these young people interested. So this paragraph is about halfway through the article, and it explains why this type of organization and event is so important. So this creates a chicken and egg story. So this refers to the previous paragraph saying that young female identifying children are less likely to engage in research than young male identifying children. So this creates a chicken and egg story. Girls don't enter STEM at the same rate as their male counterparts. And as a result, future generations of girls are discouraged from pursuing STEM because they don't see as many accomplished, visibly female scientists to look up to. Spaces like Capstone, which encourage hands-on activity, are key to exposing girls to the same activities that their male counterparts engage in on a regular basis, and to exposing girls to a world of incredible science and discovery led by other females. So I'm just going to talk through for you my thought process here. So there's only 2 sentences in this paragraph, so it's a relatively short paragraph. The first sentence tells us that this is a problem that has a cause and effect that are interrelated. That because girls do not see STEM professionals that look like them, or don't see maybe accomplished STEM professionals that look like them, they maybe don't see themselves as growing up to become a STEM professional. So events like Capstone, that's discussed in this article, expose girls to some of these same activities. It says that their male counterparts engage in on a regular basis. So I'm assuming that's things like experimenting, working with maybe bugs or equipment or mechanical devices, things like that. And it says to exposing girls to a world of incredible science and discovery led by other females. So the result of these activities are to kind of show girls that there are other females doing this kind of work that they don't normally see. Okay, so we've read this paragraph, we've talked about the main ideas. Now it's time to think about paraphrasing. And remember, we have 8 different techniques, so we can find some synonyms, change some verbs to negative, change voice, parts of speech, combine sentences, move phrases, change word order, change sentence structure. And again, we want to put this in our own words and keep about the same level of detail, a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 ratio. So I think what I'm going to do is think about maybe what the main ideas are here, and then think about maybe how I might reorder them. So I'm just going to write some notes over in my Microsoft Word document. So one of the ideas here is that, so fewer girls than boys in STEM. And that, let's see, because girls don't see, we'll say their future selves in STEM professions, they are less likely to enter them. Let's see, capstone, which we don't have to change this, we don't have to change specific names of things in technical terms because there's no other thing to call them. So, so we'll call this the capstone event hosted by FEMS shows girls maybe introduces. So I've noticed that the word exposing comes up a couple times. It says exposing girls to activities, exposing girls to a world of incredible science. So I want to be thinking about synonyms for that word. So maybe introduces girls to current female STEM professionals and shows them, what's another word for activities? We could say, do they use the word hands-on here? Oh, they do use hands-on activities. So I probably don't want to use that. If I really did want to use that, I could put it in quotation marks, but in engineering, we don't use quotation marks very often, so I want to try to avoid that if possible. Let's see, activities, shows them, I'm just going to say some things they can do. That's a really long way of saying it, but I can't think of a better word right now. They can do related to STEM that they often don't get to do. Okay. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to include? One important piece of information here that maybe you caught or maybe you didn't catch, notice that they refer to both girls and female scientists and visibly female scientists. So that's an important signal to say that this organization and this event is trans inclusive. So perhaps there is a person who has transitioned, whether that's a young person or one of these STEM professionals. And visibly female means that those people are included in this, that they're considered female. So, I have to think about, do I want to include that little piece of detail? Personally, I do, because that's important to me. And I think that's an important signal that this space is inclusive of anyone who identifies as female. So I'm just going to put a note here that visibly, well, they say visibly female. I'm going to write female identifying young people and professionals are included in this event. Okay, and organization. just gonna put femmes there so I remember it. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to put here? Okay, so I think these are the main ideas from these two sentences, at least for me. Now, one thing that you should know with paraphrasing is that you have to make some decisions about what you think is important information and what's not important information. And so clearly I've done that. I can't include every single thing exactly how it's written because otherwise I would be plagiarizing. So it's my job when I'm paraphrasing and also when I'm summarizing to pull out what I think is key information for my audience. So again, about the same level of detail, but you do have to make some choices about what to include and what not to include. So now that I've taken some notes, and notice that as I've been taking notes, I've been trying to do these 8 things. I've been trying to find some synonyms. So for example, I have not used the word exposing. Instead, I used introduced or shows. I haven't quite changed the verb to negative. Maybe I have. Oh no. That's something I can consider. I haven't changed voice. I've changed some parts of speech. I'm about to combine some sentences maybe. Notice that I have moved phrases and I've moved ideas. So I have not written things in exactly the same order in my notes as they are in the paragraph. And that's really important so that I'm not plagiarizing. Changing word order, I've definitely done that, and I'm about to change some sentence structure. So at this point, I'm gonna stop looking at the original source and I'm just gonna look at my notes. This is important because if you're looking at the original source, sometimes what happens intentionally or unintentionally is that you can accidentally plagiarize or have a couple words that are too close to the original because they're kind of stuck in your brain. So I am just going to expand my window and not look at the original for right now. Now I will go back and double check it to make sure there's nothing that's too close. And I'm gonna start here with my reporting verb. So in the article, A Day of STEM for Girls, published in Duke Pratt School of Engineering News by Meghna Datta on March 10th, 2020. And then I need to, that's all my introductory information. So I need to make sure I have a subject of the sentence. So that's Datta, the author. And I refer to the author either by full name or last name, never just by first name. You're not on a first name basis with people who you're reading, so you would never refer to them just by their first name. So, and first name, I mean given name, last name, I mean family name. So I'm referring to Datta by their family name. So Datta explains that let's see, there are fewer girls than boys in STEM, and this is because girls don't, I'm going to put necessarily, see their future selves in STEM professions. And you know what, I'm going to take these quotation marks off because I don't want to confuse my reader. I wasn't using those quotation marks to indicate that I was using the same words or phrases as another person. I was using them for emphasis. I was using them for what we call scare quotes. And I think it could be a little ambiguous about what those quotes are doing. So I'm just going to take them out because I don't need to have that in quotes. So, and this is because girls don't necessarily see their future self in STEM professions. Girls and female identifying young people are less likely to enter these professions due to lack of representation. And so I just added that to help make it clear. Now, notice we have a really long sentence here with a couple different connectors. That's okay right now. This is just my first draft. So I'm willing to kind of add some extra words and have it a little bit different than how I would want my final draft to be. Okay, so I've gotten 1 and 2. Let's see. So now I want to introduce this capstone event. Recently, Duke University hosted a capstone event. Well, no, Duke didn't host it, FEMS hosted it. So FEMS at Duke University hosted a capstone event to introduce girls. And notice I'm on number 3 right now. I'm on number 3 for my notes. I just did that by accident. Let's just undo that. This is what I'm writing right now. So recently, FEMS at Duke University hosted a capstone event to introduce girls and female identifying young people to current. Okay, so I want to say that both the young people are girls and female identifying, but also the professionals that are helping with the event. So I'm going to say recently FEMS let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's just worry about this for now. Okay, so girls and female to current female STEM professionals who showed them some things they can do related to STEM that they often don't get to do. Okay. And then, I might want to provide some examples if I was continuing with this paraphrase, but for the purposes of this video, I was just trying to capture the information for this particular paragraph. Notice that we have kind of a 1-to-1 ratio. So I'm gonna reduce this so we can see our article. Again, you can see that the paragraph, this first draft of the paragraph is about the same length as the original. So again, 1-to-1, 1-to-2 ratio. You can see that I made use of some of these paraphrasing techniques, some more than others. I find that moving phrases, moving ideas, changing sentence structure, changing the synonyms of some of the words are some of the techniques that I rely on the most, but you might rely on some other techniques as well. So again, let's double check. This is just our first draft. If I was doing this for a paper, I would definitely go back and revise this, but I just want to double check that I'm not unintentionally plagiarizing. So I'm going to reread the original and then I'm going to read mine. So the original, girls don't enter STEM at the same rate as their male counterparts, and as a result, future generations of girls are discouraged from pursuing STEM because they don't see as many accomplished, visibly female scientists to look up to. Spaces like Capstone, which encourage hands-on activity, are key to exposing girls to the same activities that their male counterparts engage in on a regular basis, and to exposing girls to a world of incredible science and discovery led by other females. Okay, so mine reads, in the article, A Day of STEM for Girls, published in Duke Pratt School of Engineering News by Meghna Datta on March 10th, 2020, Datta explains that there are fewer girls than boys in STEM, and this is because girls don't necessarily see their future selves in STEM professions. So girls and female identifying young people are less likely to enter these professions due to lack of representation. Recently, FEMS at Duke University hosted a capstone event to introduce girls and female identifying young people to current female STEM professionals who showed them some things they can do related to STEM that they often don't get to do. And again, if I was going back and revising this, I would probably put some examples from someplace else in the article about the kinds of activities they get to do. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that paraphrase. I feel like for a first draft, we have some of the same ideas at the same level of detail, but I've put it in my own words, and I've cited my source so that I'm not plagiarizing. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Remember that when you're practicing paraphrasing techniques, that there's lots of different things that you can do to avoid plagiarism, to put things in your own words, and don't forget to cite your source, even when you're paraphrasing.